Cyberpunk, much like The Witcher 3, has had a rocky start to its virtual life, but even in its current beta-ish form, I have fallen hard for this craptastic, dark dystopian fever dream. However, there are a few things I really wish I'd known before jumping in and breaching this bad boy, so here are my top 10 tidbits to save you from making the same missteps I did. Trust me, these are a need-to-know menagerie which will help you get the most out of this game, even if you are not planning on jumping in until the bugs have been well and truly banished. But first, a shout out to all my wondrous Patreons for their love and support. You'll be getting an exclusive Cyberpunk lore reading this week, so buckle in for some twisted tales from the edge. But I digress, so let's jump into what you need to know. First things first, I'm here for the story, not just the lovely loot and head-popping fun, so skipping dialogue and set-piece story moments is the last thing I wanted to do on my first playthrough. Unfortunately, CDPR in their infinite wisdom decided to bind the crouch action and skip dialogue function to the same keybind. Oh, the joy. So, before you miss vital story beats or some of Johnny's classic snarky one-liners, pop into the keybinds and remap the skip button. Your build. So there are not classes in the traditional sense in Cyberpunk. It has a skill tree system, so top tier of your build are attribute points, which you allocate into the 5 current skill trees of reflex, body, technical ability, intelligence, and cool. Now there is a 6th option and is currently locked, which will likely find use with the DLC and expansion. So, as it stands, when you hit max level 50, you have a total of 77 attribute points to spend. And here comes the massive warning. Inexplicably, attribute points are non-refundable. Once you have spent a point in a tree, you are done, son. No substitutions, exchanges, or refunds, nada. In my humble opinion, this is a terrible choice by CDPR, and my god, I hope they reverse course on it. But until they do, here is my advice. Try different tactical options, different game styles before committing to your build. So there's stealthing, there's net running, close combat with bare knuckles, blunt instruments, cyber augmentations and blades, as well as a healthy spread of good old-fashioned iron. For me, the build I like is head popping from a distance and crafting my own weapons, but you do you, boo, and do take your time, spend your points wisely. Happily, the second tier of our build tree, perks, is not so locked off. If attributes represent the different branches of the trees, then perks are leaves and flowers, giving you boosts to critical damage with a weapon of your choice, increasing your armor, carry capacity, allowing you to craft legendary weapons, hack systems, and stealth bout to great effect. However, there is a soft lock on perks via a cache gate. The only current way to change your perks is via a tabula rasa, purchasable at any Ripperdoc in their trade window for 100,000 eddies or 80,000 if you have unlocked a discount. Whoopie-doo. So again, this makes zero sense in a solo RPG, and I hope they make it easier to chop and change your build in the future for playability, if not only player sanity. But, at least you have been forewarned. So take your time, spend your points wisely, and hopefully CDPR will see the light sooner rather than later. Too alt or not too alt? That is the question. Well, happily, if you're not an alt-aholic like me, you do not need to roll alternative Vs to experience all the main story endings and their variations. The game will warn you before you enter the Embers restaurant that you are about to strap into a roller coaster ending. However, once you have completed the choice-filled multi-stage finale, it is in fact not the end. Not if you don't want it to be. There is an option right there as the credits are rolling to jump you back to the point before you jumped into Embers, so you can play out all the possible endings. Now, side note, do stick around for the credits too. There is something interesting there for you. You will not need to stay to the very end of that experience, but these end flourishes will change depending on your choices, not only in the final act, but throughout the game. I found them interesting, so you might want to hang about with them each time. Now, there are of course reasons to roll an alternative V. Each life path offers unique dialogue, and each playthrough gives you the opportunity to make different choices, which have a significant effect on how the main cast of characters interacts with you and how far story and side missions advance. I have played through twice so far. The first time was a hair on fire run. I do not recommend that, but the last run through, I took my time and I've had a blast. So, in that vein, the story is set up to make you feel like you're a ticking time bomb, but happily this is actually not the case, so take your time, explore the world, do any and all side missions and stories and events you run into. There is romance options, heartwarming and heartbreaking tales to explore in many of the stories you get to experience, which I think will enrich your journey to the finale. There is also a practical side to this too. The more you do, the more options you will have in that endgame scenario. Side note, there is a lot of story and lore hidden away in this game in the form of shards. From private messages that add context to missions and are clues during different storylines, to character stories and world history and articles of all manner. So if you want to go full nerd, take the time to read them, or become a patron of mine, because I'm going to be reading a lot of the lore-y, interesting ones to them exclusively on Patreon. Okay, shill over. Stashing your booty. Yes, indeed. You will collect a veritable cornucopia of weapons and armors of all sorts as you play through the game. Some of which you will want to hang on to, but not necessarily want to lug around with you all the time, thanks to the burden mechanic in the game, which slows your forward momentum to a painful crawl when you carry too much junk in your trunk. However, you have a stash to solve this problem. In fact, you have a few. In your apartment, you have a Merc-style weapon room where you can pop your ill-gotten gains, but the best option, in my humble opinion, is the boot or trunk of your car, my American brethren, because whilst playing I've had a little cause to head back to my apartment, but being able to press V, summon your vehicle and have access to all your gear on the fly is very, very handy indeed. So, junk in the trunk, peeps. Let's talk about luscious loot, because we are all a little bit loot whorish, are we not? And in Cyberpunk 2077 there is loot plenty, with legendary gear littered literally all about the world, just waiting for you to discover it. There are numerous guides showing you where to find the legendaries just laying around in the open world, which I will link a few of below. However, this is not the only method of acquiring legendary weapons, armors, cyberware and more. You can gain legendary items by completing certain storylines and even a few finales. For those with eddies to spare, weapons, armors and lots of legendary bits and bats can be purchased from vendors. Weapons vendors, clothing retailers, ripperdocs and medical supply sellers all have the chance to hold legendary kit, so do check them out as you run past. If you spec into technical ability, you will be able to craft legendary gear and upgrade all of your gear as well. There are many unique crafted armors, weapons for you to create, and craftable legendary tier mods and health packs, and more. And here comes another warning. There are specific weapons and armors which you can upgrade to legendary tier by the crafting system. One of the first quests you will run into sends you to collect your weapon, Dying Knight, from a gun merchant in your building. This is one of the many named guns in the game that can be crafted into a legendary. There are also unique Witcher-themed items players can gain access to in Cyberpunk 2077. Links below on how to get that kit, which can also all be crafted into the legendary tier. However, And here comes another warning: to upgrade and craft the different tiers for these named unique items. It's in fact all named items that are possible to upgrade. You need the base item itself, so don't sell it, don't break it down for parts, don't do anything to this gear, don't look at it funny, okay? Pop it into your stash, because it's easy to fudge up and dust it for parts whilst you're clearing out your bags after another mission where you've picked up 20 guns, so consider yourself warned. I've fucked up with this one so many times, and if you do know a method of regaining the loot that I have stupidly dusted, that would be awesome. Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, moving on. If like me, you're not necessarily a fan of mass murder, virtual or otherwise, you can equip a mod to either your ocular implant or on weapons individually to render them and or all your attacks non-lethal. And before you dismiss this as my own personal virtual psychosis, I accept that it is, there are also practical reasons to consider using these mods. In certain story missions, your choice to kill or simply incapacitate an adversary can have an impact on your interactions with the main characters. So even if it makes your little heart sing to pop digital heads from sunrise to sunset, well, it's worth considering, at least in some unique circumstances. Let's talk about time skipping. So there are many missions in the game which require you to wait around for the next chapter of that particular narrative thread to unfold. These cooldowns can be as little as a few hours, so you have to wait until after dark to go to a certain location, or early morning for a nice romantic swim, or they can be as much as a full 24 hours. You can, of course, just play other missions, side gigs, or just head out on a hunt to kill time. However, you have an alternative. Inside your main character window, there is a skip time function. You can skip ahead to cut out the wait, but you can also use it to hunt for legendary weapons and gear on vendors. Every 24 hours, merchants renew their stock and have a chance to spawn one of those lovely bits of kit. So do not be afraid to skip time. Missions will wait for you, I promise. I checked, don't worry. We come to getting from A to B, so vehicles, fast travel, and a map. Markers. So Night City and the surrounding Badlands is fairly large, and getting from point A to point B can be a royal pain in the ass. So here are a few pointers. I always use the quest tracker to find where my missions are and how far away I am from them, and then I try to locate the closest fast travel point. Now you can actually click on the fast travel point that is closest to you to get a route to follow, so you don't have to get lost in the maze that is Night City. Some places are worse than others, but I could get lost in a paper bag, so this is very handy for me. Now there is an additional marker too, a personal waypoint marker, so you can tag a location on the map and the way is highlighted in white. These personal white way markers are very handy when you're hunting those aforementioned open world legendary items. They're super helpful, and it's also helpful to have as many fast travel points as you can, and there are numerous scattered about Night City which unlock via proximity. You don't need to head over to them and click on them or anything like that, just pass them by, click open your map for a second. If you can see the new waypoint that's closest to you on the map, you've unlocked it, congratulations, get on with your day. Finally, if you want to have anywhere near an enjoyable or sane experience while driving or riding around, oh my god, just plug in a console controller. If you use it for nothing but driving, trust me, it will be well worth it. Oy vey. Terrible driving controllers on the keyboard. It's not good. Also, side note about vehicles, you will get spammed with a tremendous amount of vehicles for sale. It does get fairly annoying, but honestly, you don't need to buy any of them. You have a car to start with, whatever life path you take. There are many awesome free rides that you will get as you play through the game, and like the legendaries littered about the map, there are quite a few stunning vehicles that you just get for gratis. So spend if you like them, don't if you don't. So we come to the end. That's my list of things I wish I'd known before jumping into Cyberpunk 2077. I'm sure there are more tips and tricks out there than I have shared here, and if you feel inclined to share your advice with new players, please do share in the comments below. I will say, maybe wait 6 months before jumping in if bugs damage your calm. I'm a fairly chill person. I can promise you I've had a few moments of gobsmacked disbelief, but I'm stood here telling you that I really like it, so it's gotta be a good game. Okay, so I will be making more Cyberpunk 2077 content. It's fairly off topic for my channel, but I have really enjoyed this game despite the buggy mess it can be at times, and I want to share it with you guys, and I want to see what you think. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. If you want to see more content, subscribe and ring the bell. And much love to Arthur, Why You Need My Name, Cody, Kildare, Cub, Molini, Jolly, Joestar, Dark Griever, and all my wondrous, fantabulous Patreons, without whom I would be unable to dedicate the time and resources I do to my channel. I can never thank you all enough. If you would like to join my band of nerdy awesome, links to my Patreon page below. But until we meet again, please stay safe, stay awesome, and thank you so much for watching.